I am Brad Keelor. She is Alex Schueller. Coming up next on Director's Cut, you're going to find out everything you need to know about Oktoberfest, the real deal in Germany. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, I sit down with a different Geo-Institute member who has stories to tell. Some of them are personal, some are professional, but all of them, as you know, are always fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this interview today, use your favorite internet-connected device and head on over to geoinstitute.org, and there you will find out so many things about us, including we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. If you like what you see today, and I think you will, it's going to be hilarious, you should click a like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we'll let you know every single time we post something to the YouTube channel. Coming to us from southwestern Germany, I mean, it's almost southwestern Germany, where she is a faculty member at the University of Applied Sciences in Koblenz, Germany. It is Alex Schueller. Alex, welcome. Willkommen, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
We're going to have a great time today. We have 10 questions, the same way that we do every week. And we start with one of the two that we ask everybody when they come on the show. Describe your job in 45 seconds.
Okay, let's go. Hello, my name is Alex Schueller. I'm a coastal and hydraulic engineer, and I go to the beach when others don't want to. So actually before and after big storms and hurricanes, and that is where we learn most about those events. So I work at the water-soil interface, so where water meets land and where coastal engineers work closely together with geotechnical engineers. And this is where we learn how coasts and rivers respond and during extreme events, and also what we need to improve in the future. So I'm a professor, I teach, I do research, and I also include my students into field and laboratory work. And for this, my work includes reconnaissance efforts, real-time monitoring, and also lab and field experiments to understand physical processes at the water-soil interface. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with the Penner dynamic cone penetrometer, and may have started cheating on coastal engineering with geotechs.
That's okay. I mean, we're happy to have you. We don't have the same feelings. When a structural engineer comes over to geotech, that's something truly, truly special, and we all feel that in our hearts, but we love it when the coastals come over and join us too, so that's fantastic. We're going to talk a lot more about disaster reconnaissance today. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about a lot of stuff, but you brought that up, so I had to bring it in. People are going to have their fill. We love having the recon workers on Director's Cut. It's fun, but we got to get into the fun questions. That is the meat and potatoes of Director's Cut. And so we start with this. Alex, what is the longest you've ever slept, as in how many hours in one night?
So if you would say, if you could extend the night to like 10 years, I would say so. In Germany, we joke always about people working in the administration field, like government administration. So I worked for 10 years, like as a civil servant. And so then later I changed my career path, and yeah. But right now I would say the opposite is the case. So I sleep not much because I work in 2 time zones right now. So I live in Germany, but I'm also like working for the Woodsole Oceanographic Institution, and I collaborate a lot with like Americans. So like in PT, CT, ET, So it's like between 9 hours or something. And so, yeah, right now it's like every day, like 5 hours or something of sleep.
So how long did it take you to adapt to that? Because I mean, my father-in-law had the same situation. He was based in New Jersey, but he had a job that required him to work with Asia all the time. And that was kind of the worst because it was a 12-hour time difference. I don't know that he ever really truly adapted to it. How long did it take you to kind of get a rhythm going, let's say?
I think I have now a good rhythm. Like, I wake up, then like the first hour, like waking up at 6, then like the first hour of work is just like responding to all the American like emails. And then like the Germans start working, and then like I work 8 hours like in my professorship, like teaching and doing my research and stuff. And then I make a cut around like 5:30 or something, and then I switch to like my American job, and then this is when like all the American folks get active, and so then I have meetings like now at 9:22. So I would say you get used to it, and now I appreciate it to have meetings at 9 because I have two little ones, and so then normally they aren't bad, and then I just start meeting with like my American colleagues. So it's fine, I would say now.
Sounds like you've got it down, at least for now, until something changes. The third question in the interview is always the research question. And yes, of course, we are going to talk about extreme events. We can't avoid it. You want to talk about measurements in basic events. So, I mean, I think maybe the first thing to do, you said briefly in the intro which extreme events you're concerned with. Maybe detail that a little bit for everybody, and then get into this talk about measurements and how it impacts your field of work.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so I would say like the big two extreme events that I have worked with in is first, of course, in the US, very important hurricanes. So with reconnaissance efforts with Hurricane Helene and Milton in 2024, those were like major hurricanes that impacted Florida. And so this is like the one major event. And the other one is like floods. So we had a major flood in Germany, in the Ahr Valley in 2021. Where that was just, I was a doctoral student, and so I volunteered and worked in the crisis team. So completely different like disaster type, like one rivers, one coasts, but still you have that water-soil interface that you need to understand. And that is actually where like my research is circling around, like understanding those physical processes. But to understand them, you need instruments, you need data, you need measurements. And actually at that water-soil interface, like a lot of instruments fail. So you have some that are good, like on the land, like in the soil interface, like, and but then when it comes to the swash zone, for instance, where like at the coast, where like the water hits like the land, and you have those uprush and backrush processes, a lot of instruments fail, and it's really difficult to measure. And this is also with the reconnaissance efforts, especially like that interface is so important to understand what is going on. And so like my research is focusing on improving the methods first, then with that understanding the processes. And when you understand the processes, you can set up triggers and thresholds to put that into operational response. And with that, I get back to like my doctoral thesis that was about flood emergency management. And after the events the big flood in Germany, I really felt like this is so important to protect people, because all those like alarms failed, the warnings failed, and this is why I think this is now like my chance to improve this, and this is what I'm working on right now. And also I'm working a lot with geotechnical engineers that bring in that other perspective. So I have like that perspective of like all those hydrodynamic sensors and bathymetric measurements and velocity measurements and stuff like that. So water related stuff. And now I work a lot with colleagues that bring in that geotechnical perspective with using completely other methods, or people that do a lot of remote sensing. And so you need a lot of different like perspectives to look at the data, to bring in different instruments, to match them, to generate new data. And yeah, so there's a lot to do in the next years.
So this is a field, I mean, I guess all fields of research somehow impact policy, but this has a very, very, very obvious intersection with public policy. And as you said it, flood management, right? Often this means working with local emergency management personnel who are totally on the operational side. They don't necessarily care about the research. They just care about the end result of it and how it's going to impact them and how they can keep their community more safe and save lives and protect buildings and land and stuff. Where have you seen the biggest challenges for you in getting your work to that community where they can operationalize it and save lives?
Yeah, so actually that was before the flood happened in Germany. So I decided to change my career path, like after working those for 10 years, like as a civil engineer in like the governmental field. And I thought like writing about my doctoral thesis about like disaster management and like hydraulic engineering is such a like interesting perspective. Where's like a huge gap, yeah. So nobody was working in that field really, and so I decided to work in that field and wanted to get in contact with experts, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that topic, no, that is not interesting. Search for something else." And then like that huge flood happened in the Ahr Valley, yeah, and then with that, like, bam, everything changed. Like everyone was like, oh, she's working in that field. She has like, she has experience with that. Yeah, because I was able to understand the language of the like disaster management people, the emergency management people. And I was able to understand what the hydraulic engineers were talking about and the engineers. So I was sitting in that like huge crisis team after the flood. Like I was the only female person in that crisis team with like 80 like high-ranked people in the disaster management there, and then like getting to know their language and everything, and like also their leadership style. So it took me like a few days to adjust to that, also reporting and like those short sentences and everything. But yeah, so I would say it's really important that people start talking, and this is what I'm doing right now as well with the coastal engineers and the geotechnical engineers. I get them to talk, and I also get like Americans to talk to Germans, like also that international perspective on things in general with science. Yeah, so yeah, when we say we want to improve things, we need to start talking. And yeah, so this is really important, I would say. Yeah.
Perfect answer. I like that a lot. We are going to talk a little bit more about the beach now, but it's not disaster reconnaissance. I grew up in Michigan, went to the beach a lot as a kid, multiple times a week, and we had very strict rules when we went to the beach. It was usually my mom or my aunts that were there kind of running the show, and you weren't supposed to get sand on the blankets or in the food or in the radio. That was actually a very important one. You don't want sand in your radio or your tape player or your CD player when you go to the beach. Alex, with all the time you spend on the beach, what are your most important rules of beach etiquette?
Yeah, do you want now to hear the German answer or the real answer?
Let's go. We can do both. We got time.
Okay, so the German answer would be, so I would have like it written down like with like paragraph 1, like, and then reading it to my kids. Yeah, so they standing there. Yeah. And so reading it, yeah, and complaining a lot when they would fail, yeah, so sand on the blanket or something. So that would be the German answer, yeah. And now comes And now comes the Alex answer. So I would say leave the beach as beautiful as you found it.
Oh, nice.
Because I think with that, when you tell that to your kids, it's also about appreciating what you find, but also about respecting nature and like the environment around it. Yeah. And so this is, I would also say with like turtle nesting around or bird nesting around, you are just part of a like big world. And so the beach is an environment. Yeah. Also like animals live there. And also when you go into the water, you need to know animals live there. Yeah. And it's also when I do like my coastal work, I need to know that sharks could be in the water in Florida, for instance. Yeah. And also like respect in general nature with currents. Yeah. Because I'm a coastal engineer. So now you get like a coastal answer. Yeah. So currents, you don't see them, but they are there. And so if there's a warning, take care of that. Yeah. And when there's a red flag or something, don't go into the water. So this is like the Alex answer.
Both ways, though. I mean, always check, I think, before you go to the beach. Make sure that if you're bringing a tent or something like that, that it's permitted. There are a lot of natural beaches that don't want you putting anything into the ground for good reason. Check nesting areas. That one was perfect. So many things. People are going to be ready for beach season. It's only a couple weeks away as we record this. I can't believe it. I'm excited now. Your kids are still pretty little. Mine are older. We've learned a lot of lessons recently, I think. And so I wanted to throw this question at you. When was the first moment that you felt like an adult? And for me, it was paying some bills. My phone service got cut off. I tried to get sympathy from my parents. I got none. And they told me to put my own money in the account and get everything restored. Alex, what was it for you?
I would say it was the same, like with bills related, but when I started working, like after like university, like as a student, you had like a lot of like freedom to like adjust your day and work at night or something like that. But for me, like working 8 to 5, that was for me like where I started feeling like an adult with like you need to be there at those exact times and work. So and then also like you need to be there because you need to like pay your bills and like that boring adult stuff happening then after that. And now I would say with like changing my career path, as a professor, I have like more freedom, so I don't have that 8 to 5 job. I can decide when I want to work. Of course, I have my classes, but also like I can go out for field work. Yeah, and then I would say now I'm an adult, but when I like do field work, I feel free. I can't explain it. So it's like when you go into the field, it's like completely a different world. So like you are so focused on like getting the data and like structuring your day and get that done. And then you are like in a tunnel for like those like few days. And then I would say you escape this adult tasks and just function and do your stuff.
I think that's so the phrase that people like to use now, and I always avoid, is being present, right? But when you're out in the field like that, everything is there in front of you. You can't avoid it. I feel, sitting at your desk or whatever, and it's easy to pivot to something else, and you're not necessarily doing all the fun stuff. I mean, I would guess for you, a lot of that field work is the reason you're doing the career path that you're doing. And so you're being present in that moment.
That is true. And that is, so, and I'm glad that I followed my passion, I would say. So when I got pregnant, like that was for me like a life-changing moment where I like reflected on my life and everything. And then I thought, no, I always wanted to write my doctoral thesis. That was always my plan. So, like New Year's Eve came every year. And I thought, another year is done and you never started with your PhD. And like it took like every year again and again and again. And then when I got pregnant, I thought now's the time. Yeah, you can change your career. And so then with that, I'm proud that I did it. It was like a lot of work and everything, but yeah, so I'm happy with that decision.
Well done, giving hope to all the PhD dropouts of the world. Maybe one sitting right here. We have another question that we ask everybody when they come on the show, and it's to talk about how they got started with ASCE and with GI. So that is your ASCE origin story, Alex. How'd you find out about ASCE? How'd you get active? And I guess walk us through. How are you involved now?
Yeah. So I would say everything started with the reconnaissance effort. So when I met Nina Stark and she got me included in the reconnaissance surveys, I got in contact with a lot of really awesome geotechnical engineers. And it was like my first contact with geotechnics, and I was so impressed about how they work together, and like it's a completely different kind of work that you are doing, and also how like the people in the Geo-Institute are like interacting with each other. And then actually after the reconnaissance efforts, I received an invitation to get a member of ASCE's Coastal Engineering Research Council. So this is like the big council for coastal engineering, and they were searching for representative for early career professionals. So I received an invitation and I took that chance and was really engaged in COPRI, doing a lot of stuff for the upcoming International Conference on Coastal Engineering. And then actually we had another survey coming up, and before that I chatted with some colleagues, and then Michael Bennett reached out to me via LinkedIn actually, and so we texted, and he said, hey, would you like to come to the Delaware Geo-Institute? I saw you are doing some work with the dynamic comp penetrometer. And I said, never went there, but sure, it's like an hour away from me in King of Prussia, why not? And so I went to that Delaware Geo-Institute meeting, and I thought, but it is so nice, and I really love the geotechs here. It's so nice to talk to them. And then we found out that it's possible to have two memberships, so COPRI and GI, because before that I thought I need to decide what path I would go. And so yeah, so that is I would say the story how I got involved in GI. And then in January, actually, I was part of the IAC strategic planning workshop to get the Geo-Institute more internationally involved. And so I brought in my German European perspective into that, and that was such a great workshop, and I really appreciated that. And so yeah, so this is how I got involved in ASCE and GI, and now I hope for ASCE 2027 that we will have their really cool interdisciplinary meeting with all the ASCE folks together.
A good pitch there for ASCE 2027. But the one that we're going to do, this is where we always talk to the viewers and tell them how they can get involved in ASCE. We don't do this one a lot, but since you mentioned COPRI, that's what we're going to go with. We want everybody to love GI and to be involved in the Geo-Institute, but there are 8 other institutes plus the Center for Technical Advancement that has all those other groups in it, like cold regions and forensic engineering. You do not have to. Alex said it just a minute ago. You do not have to be a member of only one institute. Just check another box. I think you pay another $30 or something like that, and you can be a member of as many institutes as you would like. Get involved in their technical activities, local chapters. We talk about a lot. That's a fantastic way to get involved. So please, by all means, and we'll put a link down in the show notes below where you're watching this now, check out the other institutes. There's a lot of valuable stuff there and great people to get to know and network with as well. We cannot get through the whole interview, and this is what we teased at the beginning, without talking about Oktoberfest. I think if you asked 100 Americans, the first thing they think of about Germany, I don't know what they would choose. It would probably be like Kraftwerk, Dirk Nowitzki, and probably Oktoberfest. Those might be the top three. I don't know. Somebody somewhere is laughing that was my top three list, but good choices there. Alex, what do Americans get right and what do they get wrong about Oktoberfest?
So I would say what they get totally right is like Americans fully commit when they go to Oktoberfest. So yeah, it's not like just 10%. No, it's like 110%. Yeah. So like they dress up, they drink, like they celebrate, and you see those are like really happy people there on site. And this is what I really appreciate about it. And I was involved in like the Delaware Oktoberfest, and those are actually like I think the second largest Oktoberfest in like the whole North America or something. So they have always a competition every year where people can vote. So it's a huge Oktoberfest, and like seeing there, like comparing the German Oktoberfest to the North American Oktoberfest in Delaware. It's impressive. Like it's really like you would be in Munich. Yeah. So what they set up, and so this is what I really appreciate, I would say. What is like sometimes kind of funny is when like people think it's like a costume, like when I wear my dirndl, it's like it's a tradition. Yeah. So it's really like traditional clothes that I'm wearing, but there are also like Halloween costumes that you can buy as a dirndl, like Heidi or something, and like lederhosen and dirndl. That's also not so really clear that those are two separate things. Like guys wear like the lederhosen and the females wear the dirndl. Yeah, and then sometimes people like come to me and say, "Hey, you have a nice lederhosen." No, I don't. Not wearing lederhosen. But that's again German, like correcting people, like you're wrong.
So if there was one thing from Oktoberfest in Germany that you wish we would do in North America, what would it be?
What would that be? This is a good question. I think you're doing a really good job with that. Maybe authentic German food.
All right, so give us something. Director's Cut is all about food, sports, and music. We just have some other questions thrown in. Everybody needs a couple of good German recipes, Alex. What should they try? Something easy that everybody could make.
That is a good question. So, I'm like the worst cook that you would ever cook. So I can't cook. You can ask my husband. I can't cook. And so actually I can't tell you a recipe that wouldn't get like bad when I would touch it. So so we have like a kitchen machine where you can like click on and then it creates something. And with that I'm able to do something German food dish, like Oberster, for instance. That's not so. Oberster or Gerupfter. Those are like dips that you can create and eat with pretzel. And that's actually, you can do that in like 10 minutes or something. It's not that, it's not taking a long time. So I would recommend Oberster or Gerupfter. You can look it up. I can't tell you the recipe, as you know.
Yes. And we can put those down in the show notes as well. So if people are looking for something easy but authentically German, you could do that. Mm-hmm. We're down to 3 questions left. And you mentioned earlier that you have I guess it's a joint appointment technically at one of the most fun acronyms to pronounce, WHOI. At the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in New England. So you've been affiliated now with them for a while. What is magical, Alex, about Woods Hole?
Yeah. So that is a funny question actually, because I never been. Yeah. So I'm a guest investigator at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, and I got involved in July last year actually, because after our reconnaissance efforts, we had like a follow-up survey, and then the National Science Foundation was interested in funding those like follow-up surveys for the following years. So I was a postdoc, and as a postdoc, you can't like submit proposals on your own. So actually, Hui in person, Britt Robenheimer, she invited me to get part of like Woods Hole as a guest investigator, and with that, I was able to submit like as a co-PI that proposal together with Nina Stark and team and all the other collaborators. And so, what I would respond to that is like magical about Woods Hole is actually Britt Robenheimer and her husband Stephen Egger. So Steve and Britt, they are amazing people. Like they included me in their like research family. I exchange a lot with them, and so I'm so happy that I met them, and they are like amazing researchers. And Britt is like with reconnaissance efforts, like with Nia, everything that Britt did for like reconnaissance efforts, it's impressive. So yeah, so I would respond magical. Yeah, Britt Robenheimer.
Love that. Love shout outs on director's cut. So that is fantastic. And hopefully, I mean, maybe we'll start a GoFundMe or something to get you to Woods Hole. That's you got to visit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I was going to have you on the show, I always think, what's some stuff we can talk about? You are now at I'll get the full one, the University of Applied Sciences in Koblenz. And I have a very special connection to Koblenz, even though I've never been there. My entire family is from there. That is where my family came from before they immigrated to Canada and then to the US. So I had to ask, as one of the questions in here, what are 3 things that everyone should know about Koblenz, Germany?
So, point 1, I would say when you love Pittsburgh, you love Koblenz, because they actually look like quite the same. So when I visited the first time Pittsburgh, I was totally shocked, because I thought it's like it's like I'm back in Germany in Koblenz, and it's like, okay, come on, really? So in Germany we have like the Rhine and Mosel that flow and come together, and then we have this Deutsche Eck there, the German edge, and so there are like a lot of ship cruises that you can go there. Second, wine region. So we have like a wine hiking events. So actually one is coming up that weekend in Boppard, where you have like a lot of like wineries there with so you walk, hike along the way, and then you have like different wineries presenting their wines to you. So you drink, and then you go to the next one and drink and drink until you are no longer able to walk to the next one. Yeah, so those are actually really like funny events. And then the third, and it is like my favorite, I would say, is Carnival. So it's like where we celebrate. It's like Fasching, like Carnival, like in New Orleans with the, what is it called? Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mardi Gras, yeah. And so it's actually like the same in February, March, and it's like a huge celebration for almost 1 week, where everyone is getting like totally crazy. It's like Halloween for a full week, and like all Germans are like completely switched and happy, and everything is, yeah, so it's really cool. So I would highly recommend booking next flight in February, March next year.
And there you go. I mean, you told us about the big party, tearing down American stereotypes about Germany right there with one swing of the bat, as they say. And so if you run into any Schlouds or Robinettes or Niebauers while you're there, you'll know they're relatives of Brad. And you can just say hi, and they're not going to have any idea who I am. But still, you had that special moment. Final question, we have to go back to disaster reconnaissance, such an important part of your life and such an important part of the geotech community's life as well. So I wanted to ask a simple question and then let you go with this and tell your story about it. Does disaster reconnaissance find you, or do you find it? How did it work for you, and what's your story? A little bit more than what you were able to tell us earlier.
Yeah, it found me, or Nina Stark. I found Nina Stark. So another German. So I met Nina at a conference in Quebec in Canada. It was a coastal conference. And so I was sitting next to her during lunch. And so we started like talking and chatting, and like we had a really good exchange and brainstorming and everything. And so I talked with her about like my flood emergency background and that I'm now doing coastal engineering and stuff like that. And she said, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'm doing reconnaissance efforts. And then she talked about it. And I said, boy, that sounds so cool. And she said, yeah, if something is coming up, I can reach out to you. And I thought, yeah, she will reach out to me. Yeah? And then actually like 4 or 5 weeks later or something, I received an email from her. Would you like to join our reconnaissance group? Please respond in 24 hours. I was like, what? And so, and then I talked to my husband and said, well, here, this opportunity is coming up. And he said, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. And so I actually had to teach. So I needed to talk to my boss and said, would it be possible to like rearrange in any way like the teaching for like those 3 days? I would really love to go there. And then we made it happen. And I'm so happy because it changed my whole life, I would say. It was so important to do it, and like also meeting all the colleagues that I'm now collaborating with, and other follow-up research projects coming out of this. And also, as I said, now I'm involved in like the Geo-Institute. That all happened because of the reconnaissance efforts. And yeah, so this is actually the story behind it.
So I think one of the things that we hear a lot from people is about the non-scientific or technical experiences that they have when they go on these disaster reconnaissance trips. I mean, do you have a significant one that happened to you, something that wasn't necessarily related to the research or the work, maybe where you got to interact with the people in the region that you were in, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I would say I got trained a lot in communication. So in Germany, you have like when you get like your civil engineering degree and want to get into leadership, you like have another 2-year training just about communication, leadership, law, everything that is related to leading big projects. And so I would say that was really helpful also for the reconnaissance efforts, talking to people, because they were afraid, you know, so why are they here? Is another hurricane coming, or what is going on right now? So like that trust is what wasn't any longer there. So I think, yeah. So, and also like you need to train yourself to see things that you wouldn't expect. Like when I had when I surveyed the R Valley, like 3 days after it, there were like 150 or 138 people, I think, died during that disaster. So when I surveyed that area, I thought that with a helicopter, I thought, I'm not sure if there maybe I would see, a dead body there. So you need to prepare yourself. And that is also part of the reconnaissance. Yeah. So when you go out, you need to be prepared, mentally prepared, what could happen, and that with that you can protect people. And so with that, now I know it is super important. And so, yeah. But yeah, so that is actually the other aspect of reconnaissance efforts. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great answer. And of course, if people have seen Director's Cut before, when we've talked with those who have been on the gear missions, we always give a little pitch to gear. We love gear. geotechnical extreme event reconnaissance funded by the National Science Foundation, but the backbone of it are really the investigators, the scientists and the engineers who go out to these sites immediately after a disaster. Flooding, wildfire, hurricanes, earthquakes, it really doesn't matter. If you go to gearassociation.org, you can see all the reports from past investigations and find ways for you to get involved with future investigations. And so we got a couple of pitches in today. This is how it's supposed to work. Alex, you made it till the end. You made it through all the questions. You made it through all the follow-up questions. You made it look really easy. For our viewers, if you liked what you saw and you're here at the end, so you probably did, as always, click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we'll let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel, which is really, really frequently. Alex, thank you so much for doing this. I hope it was a good time.
It was. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And again, for our viewers, of course, we will see you with another brand new episode of Director's Cut next week. Ich bin Brad Keelor, sie ist Alex Schueller. Gleich im Director's Cut erfahren Sie alles, was Sie über das Oktoberfest in Deutschland wissen müssen. Prost! That's as good as it's going to get. I can't believe I made it through the first time. That was not terrible. Very